Welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. I should have said it in reverse, but who cares? You guys know what you're listening to. Welcome to the Comic Gamer Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I am here to give you my review of a new series that came out technically last year, but I didn't catch up to it till now. It's called The Bodyguard. Now, The Bodyguard is an original series on the BBC channel, and if you don't know the BBC channel has been producing some great shit. I think the BBC channel produced Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Cumberbatch. It produced R. Luther with Idris Elba. It's produced some great things. I think they're involved with Doctor Who. The BBC channel has been producing some great stuff. I've never really watched the BBC channel stuff, and not because it doesn't look good. It's just a lot of the way they kind of do, the way the BBC channel kind of produces their stuff. It takes patience, and I don't have the best patience. I'm not saying this stuff ain't good. It's just a lot of their material is slower, a bit more cerebral material. There's not a lot of actiony things going on. A lot of it is more cerebral. It's more breaking. It's just more thought provoking. It's more of a thinking man's channel. And not to say that, a lot of it takes a little bit more time to get into a lot of their stuff. Like the Sherlock Holmes show and the Luther show, those are two good shows. I never finished those shows, so I couldn't really review them. One day maybe I'll go back and binge through them. I think the Sherlock Holmes show with Benedict Cumberbatch and ironically with Benedict Cumberbatch and guy who played Bilbo. He just played Everett Ross in Black Panther. God, man, I cannot remember his name off the top of my head. Martin Freeman. Like, those two just happened, but I think it just came to an end, so maybe I'll binge that. But I had seen a suggestion to watch this from the Screen Junkies, Dan Murrell. I love Dan Murrell. I've always heard about him. And a few weeks ago before the new year, Screen Junkies came out with this list of shows you should check out, and one of the shows that Dan Murrell suggested was The Bodyguard. And I was like, you know what? I'm just bored one day looking through Netflix, so I decided to take a peek at this show called The Bodyguard. I love it. I think it's a great show. I think it's a phenomenal show. It's not a perfect show. If I was to give it a grade right here, right now, I'd give it an 8.5 to a 9. It's not a 10. It's not a 9.5. It's not like a smash hit to me. It's probably leaning towards the 8.5 range, but I think it's a very, very good show. Borderline great. It's very good, borderline great. It's definitely one of the better shows to show up on Netflix. I tell you, and this show, it's a really good show. Now, the show follows this former military man, a veteran, David Budd. David Budd, now he works for the Special Services, it seems like. I do not know how the British government completely works, so I don't know if there's different phrases and different lingo for what they do, but essentially, he's working for basically the Secret Service. That's what it feels like he's working for anyways, and he's protecting, political figures. And, well, he's a police officer, really. He's pretty much a police officer, because they keep calling him a copper, so I don't know what he really does. I don't know how that system works. All I know is there's this terrorist organization that are bombing places in Britain. And I tell you one thing that this show does that never occurred to me till I watched it, is when we think about Iraq, and when we think about Afghanistan, we always think of it from the American perspective. But so I'm talking to Seth. Seth told me that the British were the first people in Afghanistan. First people to get there. And it's kind of like one of those things that you don't think about it that way. It's like, yeah, those guys are dealing with that shit too, PTSD and stuff like that as well. And those guys must feel some kind of way about that too. And those guys also deal with terrorist organization and terrorist threats. It's funny. It's funny how in America we can feel so isolated and just think of it from our perspective. But watching this show made me go, you know what? I didn't even think about it, but they probably get attacked by terrorist organizations like the Taliban and stuff too, just like us. They probably get attacked by some of the same people who attack us. I mean, it doesn't really, it doesn't really cross your mind because you're in America and you're dealing with American problems. But I think but this show really did make me realize something. And if a show can make you realize something that you didn't even think about until you watched it, it's a good show almost off of that alone. But the show, but it starts off with this David Budd guy, and like the show starts off with an intense scene. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but it's an intense scene with David Budd, and he's a hero. And but long story short, eventually David gets assigned to protect a political figure. This woman who's I can't tell how old she is. She's about his age. She's about his age. This British woman who is like running for, which, like I said, I don't know how the politics work there, but like she's making waves in whatever the political sphere. She's making waves. She is making rumblings. Like she is stirring the pot. Like she is. And the thing about it is, everything she preaches is stuff that David does not believe. It's stuff that not only does David not believe, but he has this kind of resentment towards her. So, by the way, he's protecting her. He has to protect her life. And he's got this kind of resentment towards her. And then it starts off as this interesting thing of focusing on these two characters, of focusing on David's character and the woman that he's protecting, and it kind of shows their personalities, their colors, their daily lives, what they're going through. And eventually, it becomes a conspiracy thriller. It becomes some Jason Bourne kind of shit. Eventually, it becomes some Winter Soldier level kind of shit, where it becomes this conspiracy and all these different twisted turns, and who can you trust? Who can David trust? And I'm not going to spoil anything, but it gets really intense. And this is a really interesting show. There's a lot of twists. There's a lot of turns. There's a lot of you may flip on how you feel about people, because I can tell you that I flipped on how I felt about people throughout the course of the entire show. Throughout the course of the show, you might not even know how you're feeling about certain things, and like you might it is a really good show of making you think about it, making you think. You don't quite know how you feel about certain characters. You don't know how you feel about certain situations. And that is appropriate, and that's how you do it. Now, granted, it is a bit difficult. Sometimes it's a bit difficult because a lot of the lingo is like very British. A lot of the lingo, which makes sense to me by BBC, so I didn't have a problem with it. It's just a little difficult. There's a lot of the lingo is very British. Some people have very thick accents, and sometimes you can't quite understand. I mean, usually you can, because it is just English, so you can understand it. But sometimes it's a little bit difficult to pick up. I found myself this is the negatives. I found myself a lot of times, just because I'm not familiar with how things work over there. I found myself a lot of times very confused of what the hell, like politician wise, like how things were moving. Like I just wasn't sure. I couldn't wrap my head around how things were moving. But the actual story, and sometimes the story can get a bit confusing, and it can get a bit confusing, and if you're not paying very, very close attention, you will get maybe a bit lost. But for me, I paid attention enough to follow the story. I love the actor playing David Budd. I love the actor playing, I think her name's Julia something. I couldn't remember her last name. Her first name is Julia, and I love their relationship and the evolution of their relationship. I like the actress who played his wife. There's a couple detectives in this show. I like the espionage, conspiracy thriller aspects of the show. There's not a lot of action in this show. There's really only one action beat, sort of, but there's not a lot of action in this show. It's more about the story, the conspiracy, and the characters. And that's really what it focuses on. And at first I thought I'd be disappointed, but the show does a great job of being a thriller. It's really not a spy thriller. It's just like a political thriller. It's a political thriller. And it does a great job at being a political thriller. So for that, I give The Bodyguard an 8.5 at its lowest and a 9 at its highest. And I think you guys should check it out. It's 6 episodes and they're an hour piece, so about 6 hours. It's 6 episodes and they're about roughly 45. Like I think the last 2 are like an hour a piece. So you can knock this out in a day, or you can knock this out in a weekend if you want to. It's a very short show. It got confirmed to have a season 2, so if you love it, then look forward to that season 2. And that's what I gotta say about The Bodyguard. I dug it a lot. Comment below. Have you watched The Bodyguard? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What's your favorite part of it? What's your least favorite part of it? Let's start a conversation in the comments, people. Thank you for joining me on the Comic Gamer Movie Show. Please remember to like and subscribe and tell me your opinion on The Bodyguard and suggest something in the comments below that you would like me to view and review, and I will do it. Thank you, people. Have a good night.